Welcome to Chroniclove, a supportive space for people with chronic illness. I'm Robin, a psychologist in New York City navigating the fallout of a breast cancer diagnosis some years in. And I'm on a personal journey to join together with others who have similarly found themselves facing life challenges in the wake of chronic illness. Together, with the generous humans you're about to meet, we welcome you into our discussions.
You have to continue to fight, and you have to continue to say, no, I need this check. I need this scan. I need this, looked at. And you have to make them see you. You have to make them understand that, like, you're a human being and you need them to tell you what's happening.
If it's okay with you, and if it's not, of course, always just please say. If we can kind of circle back to something that's been kind of turning over in my mind. And I know some of the things that were important for you to kind of think about here, think about out loud, in another forum, in the service of helping other people, is kind of listening to your body and trusting your body, advocacy. You first realized your symptoms in April. It was 2018?
Yep.
Right, April 2018. You had wheezing.
Yeah.
And it was enough for you to say, I got to get this checked out.
Yeah.
Right? And if I have this correct, you went from April all the way through December until you had a diagnosis.
Yep. I could have had something close to a diagnosis in probably May. And it might have been something like a stage 3 or something, or a stage 2, depending. But because it went so long undiagnosed, it was like the cancer had started making fluid and doing all kinds of stuff. So I had basically until I started getting shortness of breath, which wasn't until about May, June-ish, I probably was not stage 4. I probably hit stage 4 once I started getting shortness of breath, because that was the fluid starting to cover my lungs and starting to reduce my lung capacity. The back pain was tumors and other areas of concern, which are all, thank God, gone now at this point. I have zero back pain, which is wonderful. I'm telling you, I felt like a senior citizen. I was like, I can't stand up on the subway. I can't, walk for long periods of time without my back hurting. And I was really, I actually started going to see a chiropractor. I literally started treating my back pain because you know what I mean? Like, rather than getting a diagnosis. And so, I always tell people, and they laugh, but I'm like, this is the best metaphor I can give to people, is like, you have to listen to your body. Don't walk around with your body's check engine light on and not figure out what's going on underneath the hood. Like, we do it to our car all the time. Yeah. The check engine light comes on, the oil light comes on, the gas light comes on, and you're like, just a few more miles and I'm going to take care of you. Just like, let me just get home and I'm going to take care of you. Next payday, I'm going to take care of you. And you let it go and you let it go and you let it go until you come out and your car doesn't start, or you come out and you have a flat tire, or you come out and, your car is overheating. And then, okay, now I got to get this taken care of. I have no choice. And we do the same thing with our bodies. We run our bodies rampant. We run them and run them and run them. We got recurring headaches. We have, issues. We have pain points. We have pressure situations. We have all kinds of things that our body is saying, hey, this is going on, pay attention. And sometimes we ignore it so long that it shoots to other places in the body. Like, I had knee pain and now it's like shooting up to here. And you hear people talk about how stuff is shifting and hurting in their bodies, and now it's moved up to here. That's your body saying, okay, if you're not paying attention to your knee, are you going to pay attention to your elbow? Like, your body is trying to tell you that something is wrong. And a lot of times we put Band-Aids on, broken arms and broken limbs, and it's not helping the situation. You have to pay attention to what your body is telling you. And what's also more important is, when you go and talk to a doctor about what's bothering you, is not just letting them say, oh, you're fine, and then walk away. I love doctors. I don't want anybody to walk away from this thinking, oh, she hates doctors. But doctors make money, and they make money on patients. So they want to see as many patients as possible. So if they can get you in and out of their office and onto the next one, then that's kind of what the end goal is going to be. You know, you get some doctors who really care and really want, you know, and develop a relationship with you and all that kind of stuff. But especially if you're young and you're healthy and you don't have any other issues or situations in your history or in your life where you would be a concern, they'll be like, oh, I have a constant headache. Like, and they won't do anything for you, and they'll send you on your way because you're young and supposedly healthy. But I mean, that's how I got stage 4 cancer, is I had no reason to question. You know, I had no reason to go back to that doctor and say, no, I'm still wheezing. No, I'm still coughing. You know, I didn't think to dive into my symptoms. And I certainly didn't piece them all together as connected. You know, I looked at them, like I said, kickboxing kind of distracted me. I often wonder to myself, if I wasn't doing kickboxing, would I have waited as long? You know, like, would I have ignored it as long, or treated the symptoms without looking at the cause as long? And the answer is no, because I would have been like, I'm not doing crap. Why do I have back pain? You know what I mean? Like, or I'm not doing anything at all. There's no reason for me to have shortness of breath. And so I would have really paid attention more, but we get distracted and we don't always listen to what our bodies are telling us. And then sometimes in really bad situations, you don't piece together all of the symptoms you're having to get a full picture of what's going on with you. And that's where the situation comes into play, where when you go get checked out at the doctor, if they're dismissing you, you have to fight for what you want. Like, if you have something that's going on with you, doctor says, no, you're fine. You know your body, you're in your skin. You know, you're inside your body, you're in there. The doctor isn't. So if you know that something is wrong with you and they're trying to tell you, no, you're okay, and you know that there's something wrong with you, then you have to continue to fight, and you have to continue to say, no, I need this check. I need this scan. I need this, you know, looked at. And you have to make them see you. You have to make them understand that, like, you're a human being and you understand what's going on with your body, and you need them to tell you what's happening. A lot of times we don't want the bad news. That's the thing. You don't want to hear the bad news. You don't want to go to the doctor, because doctors never say, hey, you're in great health. They're always like, oh, you're too fat, you're too skinny, your blood pressure's high, your circulation's low. You know, like, they always have something to tell you that's not great, especially once you get older. And so we don't want to advocate for ourselves because we don't want to push to get the negative information. So you just say, the doctor said I'm fine, and so I'm good, and so I'm going to go home now. And you just deal with it. But that's not going to suit you in the long run. It's going to make it worse. So you have to be an advocate.
You know, there are kind of like these two processes that are kind of happening together that you're describing, right? One is your body's telling you something, right? It's telling you, it's not just telling you, it begins crying, it begins begging for you to see that something is happening, right? Mm-hmm. And then we dismiss it, right? We dismiss it. I'm sorry.
You make excuses.
Make excuses. We look for the reasons why we're okay, right? We look for the reasons why it's nothing, because we see ourselves as otherwise healthy. And it's hard before we have a moment like this that kind of punctures our reality, that says, you now have to think of yourself or integrate into your identity. Maybe you're sick, right? Yeah. You're no longer just that 100% healthy person, right? But until we get to that moment, we look for all the reasons why it's nothing. We look for all the reasons why it's okay, why it's fine, why it's, you know, the wheezing is bronchitis, or why it's kickboxing, or, you know, why it's one thing or the other, right? And then at the same time that our bodies are begging us to see something and we're ignoring our bodies, we then bring our crying bodies to our doctors. And our doctors look at us and they say the same thing to our bodies that we say to our bodies. When you're young, you're healthy, right? They have the same biases toward us that we've had toward us, right? Except they're not supposed to have those biases in quite the same way, right? Yeah. And then they look at us and they say, well, you're fine, it's this or that. Look for the other reasons. You're too young for it to be more serious. So I'm just not going to see that as your doctor. Yeah. Things can happen to us. And that's why we need to know this, and we need to look for this, and we need to honor our bodies, and we need to honor ourselves and trust the messages, the signals that our bodies are telling us. If you're watching this and resonating with any of this, we want you to know that you're not in this alone, that you're never in this alone. Until next time, sending love.
Until next time, sending love.
If any of this has been helpful for you, we welcome you to go ahead and to click the like and subscribe buttons. If you'd like to join us for a candid discussion about your experience with chronic illness, or if you'd like to connect to simply say hello, we welcome you to reach out through any of the social media platforms or through our website, and all of our information is listed below.